I'm Heidi Wong, an artist, poet, and creator, and if you've seen my TikTok, YouTube, or Instagram, you'll know I'm obsessed with horror movies. And every Monday on my new podcast from Crime House, Twisted Tales, I'll take you deep into the real-life events that inspired the world's most terrifying blockbusters, and the ones too twisted to make it to screen. Twisted Tales is a Crime House original podcast powered by Pave Studios. Watch every Monday on YouTube or listen wherever you get your podcasts. The Voodoo Queen of New Orleans. A high-class lady who moonlighted as a sadist. A crazy killer with a signature weapon. If you watched American Horror Story, you might have seen the fictional versions of these three people. But are you ready to really meet them? Welcome to Twisted Tales, a Crime House original. I'm Heidi Wong. Every week, I'll take you deep into the true stories behind horror's biggest legends. From vengeful ghosts to bloody slashers to alien encounters and more, these real-life accounts are guaranteed to keep you up at night. But scary stories aren't any fun if you're telling them alone. If you've ever had a haunted moment or a twisted tale of your own, I want to hear about it. Drop it in the comments. The creepier, the better. With Halloween around the corner, I'm diving into all things American Horror Story with its witchiest season of all, Coven. Released on October 9th, 2013, the third season of American Horror Story took place in New Orleans, and several of its characters were based on real people who haunted the streets of the French Quarter. And in this episode, I'll introduce you to three of them. If you don't know about American Horror Story, every season has its own story with its own plot and characters. And the show really covers all the bases of horror movie tropes. There's haunted houses, a creepy asylum, killer clowns, Kim Kardashian, you get the idea. You can probably guess what the Coven season is about: witches, the occult, and voodoo. If you haven't seen it or need a refresher, here's the story. After learning she has supernatural powers, a young witch named Zoe Benson arrives at Miss Robichaux's academy. It's a school for witchcraft in New Orleans that's run by a witch named Cordelia Fox. The school is full of girls with all different abilities. And eventually, they learn that the world of witchcraft is run by the most powerful witch of all, known as the Supreme. But the current Supreme, Fiona Good, is starting to lose her powers. A new Supreme needs to be chosen, and every young witch at Miss Robichaux's academy is sure that she is the next one in line. As they compete for the top spot, the girls meet three important figures from New Orleans history. There's Marie Laveau, the Voodoo Queen, who's constantly at odds with the other witches in the city. There's Madame Delphine LaLaurie, an immortal serial killer who was freed from the grave by the Supreme herself. And then there's the Axeman of New Orleans, a ghost of a crazed killer. In the show, their backgrounds are totally fictionalized. But these were real people whose true stories are made for TV. And today we're going to meet all of them. The first person I want to tell you about is a New Orleans legend, the Voodoo Queen herself, Marie Laveau. In Coven, Marie Laveau is played by Angela Bassett. This is the plot she's given on American Horror Story. Back in the 1800s, Marie sells her soul to Papa Legba, the gatekeeper of the spirit world. But her everlasting life comes at a price. She has to sacrifice living souls to Papa Legba or she'll get dragged into hell. But there's one person in the city who Marie has different plans for, a woman named Delphine LaLaurie. She's a rich aristocrat who tortures people in her house. More on her later. Marie curses Delphine LaLaurie with eternal life, then seals her in a coffin to live out eternity. But when the reigning Supreme frees Delphine LaLaurie in modern times, Marie takes that as a direct attack. Marie spends the season trying to destroy the academy and all practicing witches. And she vows to find Delphine LaLaurie and make her suffer. In the show, Marie Laveau is one of the main antagonists, a force of supernatural power that threatens the very existence of the Coven of Witches. But in real life, her story is much more complex. A lot of Marie Laveau's life is a mystery. Even now, it isn't totally clear when she was born. Some sources say 1794, others are sure she was born in 1801. Either way, she was raised in a very unique period in New Orleans history, a time when Louisiana voodoo was everywhere. In American Horror Story, Marie Laveau gains her powers by selling her soul. But that's not what happened in real life. At least not as far as we know. Because in reality, Marie was more focused on helping people than sacrificing them. From the women in her family, she learned how to use herbs to heal wounds and how to ask spirits for protection and guidance. Marie also learned the importance of social capital. A voodoo healer was almost a kind of therapist. If you had trouble with your spouse or wanted guidance in making a big decision, you go to a healer for help. You had clients from all walks of life who might come to your door looking for help. Marie learned how important it was to develop and keep these social connections. A lot of it had to do with creating a mystique around herself. Like I said before, some parts of Marie Laveau's story are hard to pin down. But we do know this: by the time she was around 23 years old, she was already a widow. Her husband's name was Jacques Paris. Marie first started practicing voodoo when she was married to Jacques and was just beginning to come into her own as a talented spiritualist. But then, Jacques disappeared. Even now, nobody knows what happened to him. But after he was presumed dead, Marie started referring to herself as the widow Paris. The name made her seem even more mysterious and alluring. Without a husband to provide for her, Marie started working as a hairdresser. American Horror Story references this. In the show, Marie's modern-day job is owning a salon. But for the real Marie Laveau, hairdressing wasn't just a regular job. It was how her life and her legacy as the Voodoo Queen of New Orleans really took off. Marie often went to people's houses to cut their hair. During their appointments, her clients would tell Marie all about their lives and their worries. At her salon, Marie also had access to an endless string of gossip. As ladies chatted to each other during their appointments, Marie silently listened to everything. Soon she had access to information about personal lives of countless people. Who was on the verge of bankruptcy? Who was struggling to bear children? And who wanted to save their marriage from ruin? And Marie used this information to her advantage. If she knew a struggling oil baron was worried about his money, she'd bring that up at his next appointment. The baron would be amazed by how much she knew about him. So when she offered to perform a ritual or sell him a product to save his business, well, who was he to say no? One of Marie's most popular offerings was called gris-gris. It was this concoction of herbs, roots, and other magical ingredients that she sealed in a little bag. As long as the user carried it around, they were protected from harm. People all across New Orleans sang Marie's praises. From the 1820s to the 1830s, her reputation grew and grew. By the time she was in her 30s, Marie Laveau was the most famous voodoo leader in the city. And so the Voodoo Queen of New Orleans was born. But it wasn't long before others came for her crown. Soon, rival voodoo masters were trying to one-up Marie. But Marie Laveau was a fierce competitor. And she was very good at what she did. It wasn't just about showing off her skills. Marie Laveau wanted to prove that she really did have command over the spirits. Marie would often stage huge public demonstrations in Congo Square, the spiritual gathering place of New Orleans. During one of these performances, Marie declared that she would use her powers to shield people from the threat of yellow fever. During the time, the disease was running rampant through the city, and everyone was terrified of catching it. Standing in the middle of the square, she singled out people she could sense were at risk of getting sick. Then and there, she performed healing rituals on all of them. And it worked. None of those people got yellow fever. Back then, it would have been impossible to actually predict who was susceptible. Nobody, including Marie Laveau, knew that mosquitoes carried yellow fever. So were her predictions pure luck? Or was this proof that she had supernatural abilities? For the people who watched Marie work her magic, it didn't matter. All they saw was a powerful shaman, one who could stop death in its tracks. Marie Laveau reigned as the Voodoo Queen of New Orleans until her death in 1881, when she was around 80 years old, but her legacy lives on. To this day, people from all over the world come to pay their respects to Marie at the famous St. Louis Cemetery. Some even hope that Marie will be able to help them from beyond the grave. If you visit, you'll see stones and other offerings littered around her tomb. You might even notice 3 X's drawn on the marble. It's said that if you do this and ask for a wish, Marie might grant it. Even in death, Marie Laveau is seen as a beacon of hope for so many, a chance at healing and prosperity. But our next subject couldn't be more different, because her story is one of pure terror and decades of unspeakable violence. It's time for us to meet Madame Delphine LaLaurie. Thank you for listening to the start of my new show, Twisted Tales. If you want to hear what happens next, search Twisted Tales and follow wherever you listen to podcasts or subscribe to Crime House Studios on YouTube.